This is the Coach's Wife Life podcast. I'm Kristen Eargle, your host, a former TV sports reporter and fellow college football coach's wife. I'll go one-on-one with the strong women who are the backbone of college athletics and athletics of all levels. And now, Coach's Wife Life.
This podcast is brought to you by Ruler of Hope. Ruler of Hope is a nonprofit that supports medically fragile children. If you'd like to make a tax-deductible donation, you can use Venmo at Ruler-Hope or online at rulerofhope.org.
Hey there, I'm Kristen Eargle, and we have an exciting podcast ahead. But first I want to talk about something we all know way too much about, moving. Just the thought of that can bring an unsettling emotion. Well, I found a team that can take that load off your plate. It's D1 Relocation. This group can do it all. They can organize your move, coordinate with a moving company, and a trusted real estate agent. They can actually vet key household partners such as schools, insurance agents, physicians in the area. They can even help set up your Wi-Fi and water. It's incredible. So I've come to know this team, which is actually founded by a coach's wife. I think you should check it out, whether you're looking to move now or in the future. It's d1relocation.com. Now on to our awesome podcast.
Well, I am so thrilled to bring on Dr. Shanna Mittie on the podcast. You are the wife of Jeff Mitte, head women's basketball coach at Kansas State. Thank you for being a part of us today.
Of course. Thanks for having me.
Well, the stats are pretty impressive. We always start with stats, so we give everybody kind of the background on where everyone's been. More than 600 wins, 8 postseason appearances, 5 NCAA tournaments. You've had All-Americans, multiple Big 12 conference selections. I think they've played more than 25. You might be closer to even 700 wins at this point. And you've been at Kansas State for 10 years, which is so incredible feat right there. Longevity with one program. Awesome stuff. So when you hear some of these things thrown out here and you're like, wow, that's been quite a career and more to go. What do you think makes your husband special?
Well, I think that's a good question. He is the hardest worker I know. He is up all night sometimes. He's a very family-oriented person, and that includes the team. In fact, I had him out to the pool yesterday, and I knew this was one of the questions that you were going to ask. So I asked them, what do you think? I mean, I know what I think of Jeff, but what do you think makes him special? And one of them said that just how nice it is that he takes time to build relationships with them. They feel like he has an open door policy, that he listens to them, sometimes like a father would listen. And that's really important when you have young women, usually between the age of 18 to 21. That's really a life-changing point. And for them to feel like they have someone that listens to them is very important. And so that's their perspective. I see a lot of the home things that others don't see. And I can tell you that he doesn't chill very much. He does not like to sit down, even on a day off. He can't sit still. So just relax. But, yeah.
Okay, so you have a pretty cool title, PhD. Tell me about that. What do you do, and how did that come about?
Yeah, sure. So I was able to stay home with our kids when they were young. We weren't making a whole lot of money, so putting them into daycare didn't make a lot of sense. Plus, I really wanted to be a part of shaping their lives. And so I stayed home for a long time until our youngest went to kindergarten. And I decided to go back to school then. And we were at TCU at the time in Fort Worth, Texas. And they had a policy. I don't know what their policy is now. But back then, if your spouse wanted to extend their education, they would pay for it. And so I thought, well, I'm going to try, And so I started with a master's in liberal arts, which was really fun. You could choose a lot of different areas to study. Excuse me. And one of my classes was on the psychology of criminology. And I loved it. And the professor suggested that I apply to his PhD program. And so that's what I did. I went for many years, and the kids were all in, growing up and at that time. But it was a balance of school, home life, games. They were all athletes as well. So it's like I had 4 kids, with Jeff's team too. And I always feel like they're my kids too. But I got through that, and right out of school, I got a job at TCU working at the Institute of Child Development there as a research scientist. So we worked with a lot of families that struggled with behavioral issues, mostly with their kiddos, and we had developed an intervention to help out with that. And you may have heard of it. It's called trust-based relational intervention, TBRI for short. And we had demonstrated that this particular intervention worked well for a lot of people. And so I ran studies there on attachment, attachment with basically the mother or the caregiver, whoever that may be. And so, yeah, I loved it there and had a lot of fun doing it. And when we moved to K-State, where we are right now, obviously, I wanted to keep my foot in the door. And so I taught classes here in early childhood development. And then all of our kids were in college sports as well. So I tried to make all of their games and just trying to teach and keep up with the coursework and the kids. It just got to be too much at that time. So recently I've worked at the Johnson Cancer Research Center here at K-State as kind of an events planner, the programs coordinator, fundraising, and that kind of thing. So.
Wow. Quite an accomplished, that's incredible, the amount of research and especially doing that when you're raising children and the balancing of that. Ooh, that's hard. I mean, a couple of coaches often they're trying to go through school and get at something like that. And you're like, oh my gosh, I can barely even get everybody fed. And I have to do it every day.
Well, I will say I had help. So I was able to hire a nanny. We had 2 nannies. And so I tried to get organized and have everything planned for her until she would pick the kids up sometimes and get them to practice and then get dinner started before I got home. So that was a big, big help.
Oh, for sure. And then tell me how many children you have. Catch everyone up on where they are, what they're doing.
Sure. Yeah. We have 3 children. Our oldest just turned 31, which is making me feel really old, by the way.
I don't even know how this is possible, but okay.
Yeah, I know. Somehow it happened. And she's in real estate in the DFW area. She lives in Springtown, and her husband is a builder there. And they have a 2-year-old who's going to be 3, our first granddaughter, Carter Lace. And I don't know if I told you their name, Logan and Cameron Day. And she is going to have another baby here soon. September 1st is her due date. So we're looking forward to having another grandbaby. They are everything everybody tells you. Just so much fun. And yeah, we're super excited about that. And then our son, Jordan, lives in Dallas with his wife, Reagan. They got married in September. And Jordan works in finance. I think his title is due diligence. And Reagan works remote. They both work remote, which is cool. And she's in human resources and training and that kind of thing there. then we have Madison, our youngest daughter, here in Manhattan, super close to us, which is nice. And her husband, Sam Pauls, and he works for a school district, and he's an assistant principal and an athletic director and a golf coach. And Madison is at a clinic here called No Stone Unturned that works with, I don't know, you've probably heard of it.
Yes.
In at KU for a time. She's a speech pathologist there. So she works full time there too.
An incredible family.
Yeah.
And there's so many things that I could go, so many different directions right now that I want to ask you a lot of different things about raising kids and the impact and all this. But part of this is a sad question, but it's honestly my favorite because not every day is the day when you're getting 600 wins and you're going to the NCAA tournament and you're making a run and all those things. So what would you say has been the toughest adversity you faced, and what have you relied on to get through those moments?
Well, like you said, there's a lot of ups and downs, mountains and valleys in this profession. And I think the biggest thing as far as on the coaching side of it is just trying to keep yourself positive for your spouse, because if you're in this profession, you want to win, right? I mean, you're super competitive. And Jeff, that's one of the things that makes him special. He's super competitive. And so those losses are hard. And, just remind them that the sun's going to come up tomorrow. And, I just try to be as cheerful without being overly cheerful, and looking forward to the things to come and realizing how blessed we are with everything we have, helps with adversity. And some of our personal adversity, early in our career, our youngest daughter had some heart surgeries as well. She had, and still has, SVT. I don't know if you've heard of that, supraventricular tachycardia. And it's basically a really rapid heartbeat. And so when she was young, we had some adversity with that, and she's doing well, but they never actually were able to fix it completely. So she still has it to this day, but it's manageable. And then mostly recently, or not most recently, I'll start with the loss of both of my parents when we moved back here. And my best friend, my aunt, she passed away recently while we were here too. So that was tough. It was really good that we were back. So I was able to take my mom to doctor's visits and really get to know my mom better than I ever have in my life before she passed. So there's been a lot of good that's come out of it, of tough times there. And Jeff and our family has been so supportive to me. Year and a half, 2 years ago, I was diagnosed with breast cancer. Really? Yeah. So that was, my mom passed away from breast cancer. So, cancer is really close to my heart. That's why I work at the Cancer Center, to help and serve others that might be going through the same issues. There's a lot of cancer in the world, and a lot of these research places are trying to fix a lot of different types of cancer using a lot of different techniques. And so that was a struggle a few years ago.
Without question.
Yeah. And it was right in the time, maybe right after COVID, which was all really hard. And that, that was a tough time for everyone.
Yeah.
So, those were some tough times, and ways we got through some of those was just being together as a family and being close to God and just counting our blessings. And we did some traveling because, those times where you didn't really know what you could do. I know
Yeah.
we could play basketball. We were at the Big 12 tournament, and I think we were supposed to play that night, and they canceled everything. And you forget about the masks and the social distancing because it feels like we've been out of it now for a while. But I think as coaches and wives and mothers and fathers and everyone was affected. So that was tough. Yeah.
Yes. Something that you said, so early on, you had to identify and process and keep your peace when your daughter had open heart surgery, right? 29-ish years ago, right? And
That
then
was, it was probably 25 years.
25 years.
Actually, she was 10. Sorry, she was 10 years old. So
10.
27. So 17 years ago, somewhere in there.
17 years ago. And that moment there, obviously, to me, is just a tremendous fear that you had to deal with and you had to work through. And then other things since then. So my question usually is, how do you stay grounded and steady? Because sometimes, and I ask these types of questions because obviously you've had several medical things you've walked through, but other coaches may not have had that, but at some point in our life, we're going to walk through something that's really hard. Maybe it's a loss of a job. Maybe it's getting fired and you're working through the same emotions. So how did you stay steady during that and not let this fear overtake you? The fear of the unknown, which is what coaches' wives deal with all the time in a different capacity.
Yeah. I think just keeping God first, family next, relying on your friends and others around you and being supportive for them as well has helped. I could say things like meditation, which I try to do. It was hard for me at first because my mind would go everywhere, but now it took a lot of practice and it's been very helpful technique for me. Just when you say staying grounded, just feeling your feet on the ground sometimes and knowing that life can be hard, but it's always better on the other side of the hardness, right? And teaching our students that as well, letting them, see. I know when I had breast cancer, I went in and told our whole team and coaches and managers and everyone what was going on, and they were so supportive of me, and I just felt all the love. And I want to be able to give that back to others and serve others in whatever capacity, whatever that looks like. I think staying humble, being humble is good. Listening more than talking. You learn a lot more that way. But I think, the windshield is bigger than your rear view mirror for a reason. It's hard to look at the past, but you need to let go of the past if you're going to move forward. So if you lose a game, you just got to get right back up and get ready to go, right?
Yes. So, you talked about the relationships with the players. I think you have a unique opportunity because your players are female players. Mm-hmm. How much involvement do you have? What is that dynamic like? I mean, my husband coaches men all day. Does he talk to you about certain things? That's completely different than my experience, and maybe a lot of football wives listening and watching.
I try to stay involved as much as I can because for a lot of reasons, I think it's important to mentor younger people and be there for them, whatever's going on with them. And in college, we all know there's a lot going on. And Um, so you need some type of leadership. And I also try to be involved. We have recruits over to our house a lot. We'll have the coaches over. We have Christmas parties. I always make the girls something special for that. And yeah, I want them to know that we are here for them. And that is something that they said yesterday as well, is that Coach Mitte knows that we have a life outside of basketball. And he does a good job of trying to balance that for us. So I thought that was a really good comment.
That's really, really neat. That's
Yeah.
really special. And I
Yeah.
know I'm kind of going off script a little bit, but I'm just going to take your expertise. You are a college women's basketball coach's wife. You see him working with women. I have a 12-year-old, almost 13-year-old daughter, right? And she's not playing basketball. She's playing other sports. So speaking to my life a little bit, what do you think is important for the moms of female athletes as we get to that point? What should I key in on?
Well, I think looking back, I learned a lot along the way, right? I tried to be at all the kids' games, tried to get them all to practice, and tried to encourage them without being too hard on them, because I also feel like parents can take the fun away from their kids playing a game. And that's all it is a game. And we have to remember that as parents. And I will say, if your kids are really a special player and really good, coaches will go and recruit your kids, but they also recruit parents. They also watch how parents in the stands react to the reffing, to the coaching, and to the other kids. And I've seen things I wouldn't even want to tell you, because that's crazy in the stands.
Yeah.
So just looking back, I've learned a lot from that. I was probably a little too hard on them sometimes. And but I mean, it is what it is now looking back, but you learn along the way. And yeah, I think the most important thing is to allow them to play the game. And I'm one of those people that they should play whatever game they want to and not have to focus on one, especially early in their young careers. Really get out there and see what they like to do and see what they're good at. And, maybe, I know Texas, our kids grew up in Texas, and it's very focused on one sport, whether it's football or volleyball or basketball, once you get into high school. But I think especially early, if they want to play softball, if they want to play soccer, soccer was never one of ours because Jeff didn't play, so we didn't have anything to help them with there. But
Same.
Yeah, so, but they learned what they like to do, and our kids were fortunate enough to go on and get scholarships to college and finish their careers. So yeah, that was pretty special.
Yeah, definitely. And the elevation of women's basketball the last few years has changed drastically. And it's just been incredible to see the publicity and how neat is it for you as a coach's wife to see this? Because you've been, how many years have you been a coach's wife?
Well, we've been married, it'll be 32 years. And yeah, but we've known each other a few more than that. He pretty much was a head coach's wife right when we got married. So, so I've been a coach's wife now for 32 years almost. It's been a long time. We were super young when he got started as a head coach. So we've been really fortunate along the way to have great boosters everywhere we've been. We started at Missouri Western in St. Joseph, Missouri. His first head coaching job was at Arkansas State. And from there, we moved to Fort Worth. And we were able to be there 15 years, which, as a coach's wife, is kind of unheard of, right? Now we've been here for 10. So along the way, we've had so many people supporting us, and Jeff's family is super involved. They're at every game that they can get to, and that's what's been really nice about K-State. It's only a couple of hours from Kansas City, and so Jeff's family is able to travel and stay here sometimes, and it's just kind of like a big slumber party sometimes.
Now, for you, you've been a head coach's wife for so long, and I'm sure things have changed throughout the process. The ability for you to be really involved probably comes and goes depending on the needs of your children, or if you're traveling to see them play and things like that. But overall, can you talk me through how important it is for a head coach's wife to set that tone with the assistant coaches' wives and to be present and to, welcome them? I mean, how much of an impact do you see, or do you hope you've made, obviously, but do you see them having on the wives as part of the program?
Yeah, sure. So I think it's important to set a good example of what I guess we kind of expect or hope that they'll want to do. So come to the games and support that way. We have a lot of outside activities as well. And so I ask if they're going, and hope they're going, because a lot of the things are really fun. And it's important for us to get involved with our community and our boosters and supporters and our administrators. Just to get out there and meet new people and touch many lives. We do a lot of I don't know, the girls were just at a special needs event here, and I think it was with the Special Olympics, and just to see the joy on those kids' faces, and one of them wanted to interview Jeff, so he pretended to have a microphone, and they just love it, and so just to try to be involved as much as they can in everything, whether it's recruiting, game things, party preps. We do so many different things. So I would say, being able to be flexible and patient. Patience is a good word.
Yes.
Patience is a good one. And just trying to be involved in whatever they have time for as well. Everyone's got family, and for some reason coaches are put on this pedestal that they're not real people, and they have real people problems just like everybody. That's so true. Everyone has something, and just trying to remember that everyone has something going on, and so to treat people with kindness and be there for them if they need you is important, whether it's your staff or your players or other coaches throughout the nation. I think it's really important what you're doing right now, having coaches' wives on here, because we learn from one another. I happened to watch the one with Jody Gillespie.
Yes.
At TCU, and so she was talking about how her kids are out in Aledo, which is where our kids grew up.
Oh, wow.
So kind of going down memory lane a little bit.
Yes.
And all of the fun games and the cheering. Our youngest daughter was a cheerleader too when Jordan played Pee Wee football out there, and full pads in second grade. I was like, but that was nice to hear, and some of her advice was nice too.
Mhm.
And just hearing others' advice on here is really helpful, especially
Helpful.
for younger coaches coming into, whether you're coaching football or basketball or I'm not sure who all you interview, but it's really a nice thing to have, a nice group that you can reach out to if you have trouble. And I'm always willing to help anyone, especially the young ones that have little ones. That was the thing for me with Jeff being gone quite a bit, trying to balance, my patience. You only have so much patience.
So much.
And little kids will push it. They will push it.
No.
So it's just, trying to be a good mom and a good wife and a good coach's wife is a job in itself, right?
Yeah, it is. Is there anything you would key on that you would tell a younger coach's wife who's trying to raise kids away from home and going, I don't see the end in sight. It seems like we're having the same day every day.
Yeah.
Especially in season. I do so much better when we are in off season. Like right now, I'm like, oh, I got it. This is good because he can do a little bit at night, because I've got 2 playing sports. So you can send him one side and I go the different, and we figure out who's going to take Landry with us, our special needs one, But in season, I mean, you're doing both, and that's what are multiple. Some people have 3 kids playing sports. I don't know how you do that, but
yeah, well, that's one thing I would advise. When people say it takes a village to raise a child, well, when you have 3 little ones or more, it really does take a village, especially if your husband's on the road. You might have to ask a friend can you take Jordan to practice today while I go coach Logan's team and pull Madison along because she's the youngest and there's only one of me. So, just being able to reach out to friends that are parents of your child's teammate. You begin to be friends with your children's parents because you're all together at practice talking, you're at games, and that's all the time that you have, right? And so if you can develop relationships with those people and find some that you can count on to help you, and you help them as well, that's a big deal. So.
Was it hard for you to transition from, I feel like this is going to be a little bit of the season I haven't encountered yet, when they're all graduated? Of course, I will have my precious Landry with me. She will be my buddy forever. But for a lot of moms that I have a few coaches' wives right now, they're like, oh, mine are all gone. This is different. Was that an adjustment for you?
I would put that in part of the toughest adversity that we were talking about earlier. When you are spending all of your time doing everything you can to make your family happy and whole, and that's basically your whole life. It's really hard, and that's why I went back to school and tried to make a career for myself. And that's one other thing I would say, jumping back to advice, you need to stay independent. You need to have a lot of self-worth, because you are by yourself sometimes, and that can be lonely. So having confidence, just like your husband has or your wife has, whatever the situation is, having confidence in yourself is really important too.
Yeah, without question. Okay, so there's something, a new question I've asked on the podcast is, we face a lot of decisions that I think that other professions don't face as often. Like say if someone were, I use an example the other day, you work in corporate America, you might have, hey, am I going to take this position? But it's right here. A lot of our jobs, we don't see how it's going to pan out.
Mhm.
and until it happens. And so you take this job and you look back and go, oh, we left that place. Look at them now. They're winning a national title. Or, or you let it go and then like, wow, there's a big fundraiser there and they raised all this money. They rebuilt the stadium. We could have been there, and you can kind of look at it and go, God, did we make the right decision? So my biggest question for you is, how do you go about navigating big decisions as a couple? And then I'll have a follow-up to that as well.
Well, I think it's important that you communicate and let. I know my husband communicates and lets me know when he's having issues or there's something that he's not happy about, and then maybe another job might come calling. I'm sure you've had the same situation, and yeah, it's a big decision, and especially when your kids are young and you maybe need help from your family. We just take in consideration what's going on right now and how we see the future possibly panning out, and go from there. One of our hardest decisions, but easiest for us, was coming to K-State because Madison, our youngest, was still in high school. And I had several people there that just loved her and wanted to keep her another couple of years. And as nice as that was, we wanted her to be with us. And so moving her here as a junior, going to be a junior in high school, was tough because she had grown up and been to the same school district for basically her whole life, had a ton of friends, teammates, that kind of thing. And she's very outgoing. So that was hard. But because of all of those traits that she just fit right in here. She had automatic teammates, which made automatic friends. She got involved in school and church and Young Life. And so the transition wasn't as hard as I thought it might be. However, we had talked about a dog earlier before this. And she said to me, "You're taking all my friends and all my siblings," because Jordan was going to college. "And can I at least have a puppy?" And I'm looking, I'm going, "Oh, we would have 2 dogs. I don't really think we need a puppy." That's what it's going to take, to make you happy and make you feel good and secure about this move. Then that's fine. So we got a puppy, and when she went to college, the puppy stayed here. So now he's 10 years old, and here, I'll show you.
Oh, what kind of dog is this?
He's a golden doodle, and he has been the best dog. And he's helped me with, and I know this sounds probably funny, but the empty nester thing. Yeah. They were all gone, and he was still here. He's been my buddy ever since. So he's been a big help with the transition for me.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I could totally see that. We have a Great Dane. The kids are at school. Not that I have a whole lot of lonely moments because I'm always working. But sometimes like, hey, buddy, it's fine. He's like huge. She's a 194-pound dog.
Oh, my goodness. That is huge.
Yeah, that is huge. Okay, so how do you keep yourself from trying to look in the rearview mirror and go, should we have moved? I don't know. You've had tremendous success everywhere you've been. So it's probably not a lot of second guessing yourself, but.
Yeah, well, I was going to tell you, we've been so fortunate to only moved really twice. And I know a lot of coaches and wives have way different situations. I mean, we live here, Manhattan, Kansas is right by Fort Riley, an Army base, those families have to move all the time. And so I kind of compare coaching to being in the military, because so many coaches have to move here and there and everywhere. We've been so fortunate. We haven't experienced that as much, but yeah, for me, I don't really look back.
Yeah.
I don't have any regrets, and I don't think Jeff does either. I feel like you just do the best you can with whatever you have and wherever you are, and that's just wherever you are is what what you make it. And I really feel that's important to keep in mind when you're a coach's wife. Or
what is the secret sauce? Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you there. What is the secret sauce to longevity? I mean, I have the perfect wife on to ask about this. You've had long places.
Had long places.
Okay, I mean, let's be real. I mean, are you having dinner with boosters every night? Or are you like, what is?
Not every night, but we.
I mean, how do you stay loved?
That's a great question. I think it's part of what we were talking about before, where you reach out and you try to do community things and feel a part of the community, and they feel you as part of their community and welcome you in. We have a lot of silent auctions where we auction ourselves off. So we're getting auctioned off for 10 people for a backyard barbecue with the Mitties and the whole team and the coaches. And so somebody bids on that and they get to bring 10 friends, and so we all get to know each other better that way.
Really cool.
And hopefully they like us that way and spread that throughout the community. So yeah, we do a lot of community work, and our team does too, and we have such great young people that give outside of basketball, and they enjoy it. And in fact, we're going to Africa here, Africa, Rwanda in May to build kind of a mission trip to build a basketball court in Rwanda for this small community. And so that's just, one of the things that we do. And I think our supporters appreciate that kind of mission, and trying to do it here in our community as well, whatever that looks like, is important.
I'm blown away.
Just being a part of the community, getting out there, getting to know people, letting them get to know you, being real, letting them know that we're real. We're not this fictional character that is perfect, because it's coaching, and you've got a lot of ups and downs, and how you handle that determines where you are and where you're going, I think.
I'm blown away. Rwanda, this is incredible. Are you getting to go?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Super can you take us with you? Like, can you take pictures?
Yeah. I'm sure we'll take lots of pictures.
Okay, there you go. I feel like we need a Coach's Wife Life Instagram takeover. You have the logins, you take pictures, tell us all about it. That would be fun.
Yeah, I would love to do that. I don't know if you know, Rwanda is a very poor country, and I'm looking forward to reaching out. I think we're going to all be in different groups working on the basketball court and working with the kids and working with the church there and community members. And so we're going to get to rotate like that. And I think it's going to be great for all that go, and especially our young people getting to go to a different country, a different continent, and getting to build relationships with them as well.
What an incredible thing. Y'all are all in. I love this.
We are.
That's the difference.
The only way to be. That's the only way to be. That's the secret
sauce. Okay. It sounds like you're doing a lot of work for other people. Do you get any downtime on your own? What do you enjoy doing?
Like I said, Jeff doesn't like to sit still very long, but we love to travel. Yeah, we've had some awesome trips with family trips. One of your questions before was if you could have a day that you could repeat in any time in your life. I would say any of our family vacations, especially the extended family where all the cousins get to bond and all the aunts and uncles are there, and not everything goes right, but looking back at them, they were so much fun, and we've been so blessed to be able to travel all over the place, not just with our families, our teams along the way. I mean, we've gotten to go. One of my favorites was Australia, and our kids were young. They were probably 3, 5, and 7, something like that. But they got to fly, and they did great. And I was so worried about how they'd be on the plane because it's like a 22-hour plane. I mean, you're actually on a plane for that long. And they did awesome. They don't remember much about the trip there, but we got to tour Australia and play different teams in Australia. I think we had 5 different cities, and got to do Sydney and climb the Harbor Bridge, and his team got to do all of that. So getting able to have experiences like that can shape a young person's life so much. I know it shaped mine when I was young. So we've gotten to go to the Bahamas, and let's see, the Virgin Islands and Puerto Rico and Mexico, Cancun, because they all have tournaments there. And it's a great recruiting tool. If your recruit loves to travel, a lot of their families go on the trips too, and it's just so much fun.
It's incredible. Did you grow up in Kansas? I think I forgot to ask you.
I did grow up in Kansas, not far from here. I started in Junction City, which is just about 20 miles west of here, in grade school and middle school. And then I moved to Chapman and went to Chapman High School there. After that, I went to Washburn, which is in Topeka. I played volleyball and basketball there. So I was into athletics. I was very athletic at the time. And when I met Jeff, he was at Missouri Western up there. And yeah, I ended up transferring my senior year up there to play volleyball. We were in the same league, so I played against the girls I'd played with for a long time. So that was love.
Yes, for sure. And how did you meet him?
We actually met on a blind date. Some of those work out. I didn't really like blind dates, but I had seen him at a tournament when I was up there playing volleyball, and one of my roommates said, "Hey," and I was like, "Hey, who is that? He's cute." And so her husband, or her boyfriend at the time, had gone to high school with Jeff, and so they just set us up on a blind date. We went out with them too, so it was really fun. At the time, he just made me laugh so much, which is important in life, as you know. Yes. And he was so handsome, and I just felt like I got the whole package. I didn't know what I was doing at the time, but
this many years later, I love it. I love hearing about your life. Okay, well, you said looking back now, with many more years to go in coaching, so far, what's been the most rewarding aspect to you about being a coach's wife?
I think getting to be around the college population helps keep you young, because you're seeing the trends, what they're wearing, what they're saying, what music they're listening to. Not that you would like everything, but just being exposed to that generation and knowing how awesome they are and what goals they have, and any way you can try to help them along with those. Even I have players reach back to me now and say, thank you so much for always having us at your house. I don't know how you did it. I've got 3 little kids now, and I just don't know how you kept the house clean. And, and it's just so rewarding getting messages like that, because it was hard.
Yeah.
It was, and it's nice to be appreciated a little bit.
Love it. Okay, rapid fire. You ready?
I'm ready, I think.
Okay. Who is the most famous person in your phone?
This was hard because I feel like I have a few, but I would say Bill Snyder. Bill Snyder, he's kind of a legend around here.
He's a legend.
And he was a big help to me when I was at the Cancer Center. He's been a big supporter of the Cancer Center. As you probably know, he's had cancer, and as far as I know, it's in remission now, but that's a big calling for him to help with research and that. And yeah, he's a great guy, and his wife Sharon and I, we've been on some trips together, and you get to know others, whether even though they're football coaches, we all go to the coaches meetings in really cool places, typically like Phoenix, and while they're in meetings, all the wives are gathering, getting to know each other, and so that's pretty cool. Some of those things are really rewarding after the season and having a little downtime.
Agreed. Okay, what's one item on your bucket list that you have checked off, and one thing left to do?
Wow, well, I've gone to Paris. I always wanted, to go there. Not for very long, but I've got to do that. Yeah, Australia was one of the bucket list ones, of course. Prague, got to go explore Prague. And these are times when it was just Jeff and I. Now, he may have been recruiting and working, but I was playing. Barcelona,
Wow.
Barcelona, that was super cool. Scotland, got to go there, and everything there is so old, but it's so cool looking because it's so different from the United States. And yeah, just getting to go places like that are novel and different and fun, and those things are on my bucket list. But one place that I've never been is New Zealand, and for some reason I've always wanted to go there. It looks beautiful and natural. There's a lot of animals, and you have the ocean and the beach, and I don't know. It just looks really nice. I want to go there.
Funniest account you follow on Instagram?
Well, this year we had something called the Gap Goat, and it's a gap in basketball is when you get 3 defensive stops in a row. And so Jeff had gone to the seniors, and he wanted them to come up with something fun that they could do. Like I think football, when they get stops or so many stops, they hold up a belt, or everybody has something. And so our girls came up with a goat, and they called it the Gap Goat. And so for every gap, our managers would hold up the Gap Goat, and everybody would get excited. So the Gap Goat has its own account on Instagram, and so it would post on there a lot. You have to go look at it.
Okay, I'm going to follow this.
Gap Goat 7. So this kind of got out, and so not everyone, but a lot of people in the stands had little baby goats, and they had little chains on them, because they also get a chain. And statistically, it's like if you get 7 goats in a game, you have like a 90% chance of winning that game.
Wow.
So every gap we would get everyone held it up, and it just caught on. And I think Amazon ran out of little miniature gap goats this year because so many people bought them and supported. So yeah, that
Awesome.
gap goat one is fun. And then I also follow one. It's the life of Lincoln, and it's about a golden doodle, and they dress this dog up all the time, and glasses, or he's like in cereal, you could barely see his face, or when the Chiefs were super good this year, we're big Chiefs fans.
There you go.
So anyway, they had him in all of this Chief stuff and dancing. So that's a fun one.
Awesome.
That's
That's
I
hilarious.
think it's out of California. Yeah.
The question, what about your life impresses your kids?
Oh, okay. Well, I have direct quotes. I said, just keep it short because I know you have a lot to say. That's a joke. Okay. So Logan, our oldest daughter,
Okay.
she's now that she has a young child, one on the way, she thinks that it's impressive. I was able to raise 3 young children and took care of them when Dad was gone, when he was gone so much working, and made it look easy. So I really liked that. And Jordan said, same. He's our son in the middle. And also getting your PhD when we were all kids. And Madison said everything they said and how supportive you were. You would travel to watch us play sports and all of Dad's teams, and how supportive you were of his career, and you make the most of life. And then she ended that with, and I never heard you complain. So that was pretty special.
I am crying for you.
I know.
You're
And
a
I'm-
good mama.
No, I'm just kidding. But
I
yeah,
love this.
sweet to
I
hear
love this.
and rewarding to hear that
Rewarding.
as a coach's mom, right? That your kids noticed.
They noticed. They
Yeah.
noticed all the sacrifice and all the times when you were like, what am I, does this making a difference in my own family? And it did.
Yeah. And they're all great. They were always great kids, and they're all very high functioning adults and have their own lives now. And I think they have pretty special lives too. So
I do. Final question. If you could relive one day of your life, what would that be?
wow, that's a tough one. Because looking back, I was so young when we got married. That might be one to think about. Doing that again, maybe a little differently. It's so fancy now when people get married compared to how we got married. I think our reception was at the Lions Club Hall or the Eagles Legion or something, and all of our aunts brought crock pots with homemade food, and we had a couple of kegs of beer, and that was it. We had a DJ.
I love it.
So maybe reliving that a little differently now would be cool. But the birth of our children, and even though that was really hard too. And like I said, all the vacations we've taken,
Yeah.
time that we got to spend with our extended family, and maybe just having a day to relive with my parents who have passed. That would be cool. So.
Powerful words.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for being so open, so honest, and you provide a lot of wisdom. Thank you very, very much for being on podcast.
Well, thank you for having me, and thank you for doing this and all the work you do with your Ruler of Hope for Children is so important. I'm glad you're able to do that. And if I can help you with that in any way, let me know.
Thank you so much.
This podcast is brought to you by Ruler of Hope. Ruler of Hope is a nonprofit that supports medically fragile children. If you'd like to make a tax-deductible donation, you can use Venmo at Ruler-Hope or online at rulerofhope.org.
For a replay of this episode or previous episodes, visit coacheswifelife.org and follow us on social media at Coaches Wife Life.